Hello, how are you? I'm great, thanks for asking. Anyway, welcome back to Tubified. We've grown a bit since the last video. We've gone from like 360 subs to around about 520 in the span of just 2 weeks, which is absolutely mental, so thank you so much. Anyway, what are we doing today? Well, we are ranking every single hardcore tower. It did say that on the thumbnail and also the title and stuff. Ranking every single hardcore tower in terms of what's the best to spend your money on, because gems are hard to come by, and if you want an easier way of getting gems, then you can of course just just go to the previous video, but you probably already saw that anyway. 20,000 people saw that, and of course this is just my opinion, so if you do go on to disagree with any of these, feel free to have a discussion in the comments, but please keep it civil. Alright, cool, let's get ranking. In the last place is the Accelerator. A few years ago, that would have been absolutely heinous, a crime of the highest order, if you will, but nowadays, I don't think this is really too disputable. Yes, the Accelerator is a good tower for an okay price of 2,250 gems. Like, that's all fine and dandy. The reason it's the worst hardcore tower is the blooming overcharge. This thing draws the tower down from being an extremely good DPS tower to being kind of good until max level. Why? Well, the Accelerator has a mechanic called, overcharge. No prizes for guessing that one. This mechanic is basically a cap for how much damage it can do without having to stop and catch his breath effectively. This is a fine mechanic if it's balanced correctly. It is not balanced correctly. Having the overcharge at 2,400 at max level for a tower that does 100 DPS is simply ridiculous. The tower spends more time recharging than it does, actually firing. Did I mention you have to remortgage your house and sell your kidneys to even afford this upgrade? Yeah, this final upgrade is 50k for the tower to become just kind of worse. It shoots for a short amount of time. It does, like 2,400 damage at max. Ugh, not very good at all. It's a good tower. It's a good tower that's just held back by a massive buffer in a recent patch, and hopefully this video becomes outdated because the accelerators patch it. No, because the developers patch it. Anyway, on to fourth place, and it's the Brawler. Not really for the tower having any major setbacks, but kind of just the fact it's a really good early game tower and not much else. For this price point, considering the normal price of hardcore towers, it is a really good deal for what you get, which is the best melee tower in the game and slashes in the game. But the fact is this end of the list shows you that it's just how good a lot of these towers are in future. But 1.2 thousand gems for this really solid early game tower is very good. It has a lot of use cases. Just not as much as some other I use Golden Cowboy or Golden Crop Boss personally because I find that just better. I find they give something else. Like Golden Cowboy gives money, Golden Crop Boss produces the troops and the units kind of like stacking up the end of the path. Brawler just doesn't really have that. He has an ability. It's certainly an ability. He can move around the map, which is cool, I guess. But like, you could just put him there if you want him there. You could sell him. It's not an amazing ability, I can't lie. It's still helpful if you're trying to crack up some leaks. Although you can't really then go back to the front, which you probably want to do. Anyway, you kind of got to like have a wave or two of just going, oh, I'm gonna move him back. Oh wait, no, I can't because he's still got loads of people in the way. But yeah, no. Other than that, that's kind of it. The tower is just it's not really used that frequently from what I've seen. Holds up okay in the mid game, you just don't really need it. It's 1.2k gems for a very, very good start tower. And if that's kind of what you want, then go for it. But 1.2k gems is still quite a lot. That's still like 5 wins, which will take about an hour. That's still 5 hours of your life for a tower that you're only going to use for a quarter of the game. Anywho, anyhow, and any which way, third place is up next, and I don't think I need to tell you what this tower is, because I reckon you can guess. It is, of course, the Necromancer, and it's really solid tower costing 2,250 gems, which again, considering the scope and kind of silly numbers we'll be seeing later on in this video, it's not at all too bad, but it's still a healthy amount of grinding. That's still like, almost like 10 game, not 10, it's like probably about 7 hours of grinding, 7, 8 hours of grinding, but like, this is a Hardcore Towers ranking video. Neither of us have really actually touched grass in, well, way too long, so come on, that really doesn't matter. But genuinely, the Necromancer Tower is very solid at his job of spawning in skeletons and killing things with the most powerful weapons, either his magic fist or a book. He kills things with a book. Oh. I'm sure that's effective, and it is, but I know what you're thinking. A book that kills people must have been written by J.K. Rowling. And, well, no, it's not, because the Necromancer would have a horrifically stereotyped type name, like Dead White Dude or Cho Chang. But yes, the Necromancer is a very good tower in terms of cost efficiency. Well, kind of. And damage output, he's also just a bit of fun, and that's what really matters. However, there is one thing that nags me, and it's the way he holds his goddamn book. Like, brother, what are you doing? You're holding it like you're called Lord Ponsonby of Essex the Fifth. He holds it like you're about to have afternoon tea and crumpets with the king. In second place is the Engineer. This tower is very good. It does a lot of damage. I like this tower. No, but genuinely, it is a ridiculously powerful tower, and it's almost definitely worth the 3 kidneys it costs to get. It's a tower that just does destruction. You really can't go wrong with it. The damage output is simply a bit silly, just like me, with a combined output of over 400 DPS. Yes, the tower is very, very good. It's kind of tower you just kind of place down and go, yep, I know what I'm getting with that. And, you know, that's just kind of it. The Engineer, she is powerful. She creates sentries, that's her, like, mechanic. Did I mention every single hardcore tower basically has a mechanic except one of them. Except one of them. That's the Brawler, if you can't tell. It kind of has a mechanic, but, like, come on. Moving is not a mechanic. Come on, mate. Military base can do that. Not move the actual tower, but it can move. It's a car, in fact. But, you know, like, the Engineer is making the sentry eyes are cool. The bubble that's around them past, I think, level 2 or level 3 is also pretty cool. Meaning that they're basically immune to stuns, because no boss rapid fires, like, unless you're playing Polluted Wasteland 2, and you have fucking, what's his name, like, the nuclear monster, who just like stomping a lot. He's just an angry boy. And this, I can commend that, to be fair. I get angry too, and I also get sad. This video took a melancholy turn in the past minute. Anyway, the Engineer, the second place. In the very coveted first place is, of course, the Hacker. I bet you weren't expecting that. And if you were, you probably know why. She is insane. Oh god, she is very, very good. Even with a placement limit of 2 and a max DPS at top path of 138 and a max DPS at bottom path of I don't know, I didn't calculate it. She is still incredible because of all the extra things she does, and there's, well, a few. So first off, she can damage enemies using a beam called a synapse, so I guess you say she damages people using synaptic transmission. Way. And then she reuptakes, that's a synaptic transmission joke, the dead enemies and effectively turns them into units, meaning they walk back into their friends and damage them. I mean, like, yeah, it's really good. It's basically units, but without the 60-second cooldown and, like, the 3 damage most of them do until you get to level 4, and then it's mid-game anyway, and you don't really need them anymore. But, yeah, no, generally, solid tower. I've seen, like, like, the enemies do... that was an awful sentence. Let me start that again. The enemies do have, like, lower HP than they would if it was just a straight conversion, but like that's fine. I've seen her convert like falling shields and it's like 11k HP. It's like, oh hello, you're just a battering ram for us now. That's where the tower gets good, when you like transfer someone who's got like stupid amounts of health, and then you're just like, yeah, you know, you're good now. You're now ours. And I've seen some people on Twitter say, oh, how can the enemies not figure out it's a flipping obviously hacked, it's a bright green? Well, my friends, have you heard zombies? They're not very well known for their, well, intelligence, so that's probably why. Anyway, the next is a Millie Bobby Brown called Wire Fraud, which is what I commit to gain my legal riches from my Nigerian prince, who happens to be my uncle twice removed. How lovely. That's a joke, please don't sue me. But yes, wire fraud effectively gives you more money for killing enemies, maxing out at a healthy 20%, which is, to be honest, I've just said healthy twice, but a nice amount of moolah, and can make your game much easier. Like 20% of like if you were playing in hardcore, some of the like enemy rewards you get is ridiculous. If it kills the molten boss, that's like 200k, and you're like, oh, rolling in it until you get to the Void Reaver and die at 4000 HP because the accelerator doesn't do its bloody job. Sorry, Excel. Yeah. That's her second ability, and she's got a third one, finally. Her final ability is the ability to clone any tower for a percentage of the price, for around a max of 2 minutes. This is fantastic. I love cloning a Gatling gun on the last wave for like 60% of its full price at the bottom path. It's an amazing ability, and the combination of all three is why, in my opinion, it is the best hardcore tower. And I am right, my opinion is correct. But you know, the hacker, it is solid, it just does loads of things. The engineer would be as good, the engineer is basically as good, but I think the reason the hacker is better is it just does loads of things that help your game quite substantially. Like the cloning, of course, I've mentioned Gatling gun on the last wave. I've done that like 3 or 4 times, and of course it's so nice to be able to get that and not have to pay the full price, because then you save money on placing down, I don't know, more engineers. But if you want to know what you should spend your gems on, then didn't you watch the video? But if you want to know my like official what you should spend your gems on first, I would say start with the engineer. That's a hard one. Start with the not the engineer. Start with the necromancer. Start with the necromancer, then the engineer, then the hacker, then the brawler accelerator. That's what I think you should do with your gems if you want to spend them, or if you're just wanting to save up. Of course, you can save up to whatever tower you want, but this should have just given you a quick little like 10-minute rundown on what I believe to be the best hardcore tower in the game, and which one's worth your gems. Hacker Tower is like 5.5k, that's a lot of gems. That took me 24 hours to get, basically in the past week. It was ridiculous. So, that's this week's video concluded. If you watched up to this point, then you must have enjoyed. So by law, you must subscribe and leave a like. Just kidding, of course. But if you could do those things, I'd be very happy. I'm trying to get to 1k by the end of at least the year, preferably sooner. And it's looking ever more likely, with over 150 of y'all going for my most recent video, which did so well. Thank you so much. And also, thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I'll see you next week, where I'll be grinding some quarries and testing out some strats on how to grind them coins. See ya.